What is up, everyone? This is Eddie Aparicio, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Anthony Tuan Corral, and this is Buzzer Beaters, a podcast that is dedicated to basketball that is brought to you by grumblingsmedia.com. You can find Buzzer Beaters on grumblingsmedia.com, YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, Pandora, any outlet that you get your podcasts, you can find Buzzer Beaters. Just remember
Tower
to
Records, The Warehouse.
yeah, right. Yeah, Tower Records. Oh my God, man, you're bringing up stuff from way back in the day, man.
I'm just letting our user base know exactly how old we are.
Yeah. And by the way, the reason why we go ahead and introduce ourselves every show is because a lot of times we get new people that have never seen us before, right? And this is what we want to go ahead and be formal and introduce ourselves and kind of lay out the foundation of the show and what we're going to talk about. So Tuan and I have been doing this. Actually, it'll be a year, right? It's been almost a year we've been doing this, man.
Has it almost been a year?
It's been almost a year, believe it or not.
Holy crap!
And yeah, I know. And so Tuan and I, when we first started doing this, we were picking topics, hosting each other's topics, and then we kind of evolved into kind of just picking an agenda, and then we go ahead and talk about the agenda. But essentially, what we're going to talk about today, hey, this is opening week of the NBA season, and before this week, we actually had the last 4 podcasts where we're giving the team previews so that everybody has an idea of what we're thinking about for this NBA season for each and every team. So, but we're here. We're here now where we have the first 2 games happened last night, where the Knicks played the Celtics and then the Wolves played the Lakers. So we're going to talk about that first, and then we're going to go ahead and dovetail into the rookies. We actually, Tuan and I, we covered the draft, in June, and we had talked about all the different draft picks and who we thought which team would get who. But anyway, what we're going to do here is we're going to have a little draft between ourselves where we're going to go ahead and draft the top rookies. We're going to pick 4 first rounders each, and then we're going to pick 1 second rounder. Is that what we're going to do, Tuan?
We're picking 1
second round guy, and then we're going to keep track of stats for the entire season and to see who has the better team between us, right? Yep. Tuan and I are always competing, man. And it's all, this time you started, man. You started, bro. Not me. You started. I normally started.
Throwing me under the bus.
So you started this time. I'm like, I'm game, bro.
Yeah,
all right.
For those of you out there that don't know, if you want to keep Eddie happy, which I do, Eddie's a big boy. I want to keep him happy. So you set up competitions with him, and he'll be happy. He'll be good. He'll be excited. He'll be into it. Plus, it can be a long season. Who knows what's going to happen this year. And this will be something that we can kind of keep in our back pocket and check in, once a month, periodically, just to see how our squads are doing. There's a lot that goes into this draft pick. Obviously, some people out there may think, just draft the top 5 guys and there you go. But that's not true. You got to consider playing time. You got to consider what team they're on. You got to consider, are they the backup or the starter? Those types of things. So some of that is going to go into both our collective thought process as we draft, as we draft the players that we're going to put the team together. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the best player long-term. We just think they're going to have the best statistics this season.
Right. And we're going to go ahead and keep score as if it's like the fantasy, right? We're going to do the FanDuel kind of 3 points or points is points, 1.5 points for assists, 1.2 points for rebounds, and 3 points for assists and for steals and blocks. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and be the stat head here. I'll do that. But anyway, we're going to talk about the observations of the games that happened last night. Then we're going to dovetail into this draft that we're going to talk about. And then the last topic that we're going to cover is, the end of season awards, for the NBA. We're going to go ahead and make our predictions on who we think each of us going to make our predictions for, MVP, most improved player, defensive player of the year, 6th man of the year, rookie of the year, and then coach of the year, right? So we're going to have our predictions, and we're going to see how close we are. We can make that a no contest too, bro, but we're going to have to figure out how we score that. We might have to do it based on votes, right? Votes that were made for each of those players.
Yeah. We're going to need a contest to track our contest. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, but, it keeps it fun, man. It keeps it fun. All right, man. So without further delay, let's get into it, bro. So last night we talked.
Well, before we get there, two things I want to talk about. One is a recent development. One is, Eddie was I wasn't watching the game, but Eddie was watching the Pistons play the Pacers.
Right.
And James Wiseman got a little snap in the back of his leg. Don't know what happened. Don't know. I mean, right now, us amateur doctors were presuming it's the Achilles. I kind of looked it up a little bit. It can be the Achilles, or it could also be a severely torn calf muscle. Right?
Correct.
Those are typically the
they're related.
And, he did what we've all seen. Where the player looks back as though someone kicked him or did something. And I just wanted to touch on Wiseman because, man, that dude's had it rough. I mean,
he has had
is
it
kind
rough.
of,
And you know what? He was the seventh man off the bench. He was the seventh man. So the first person who came off the bench was Benedict Mathurin, and then the second guy was James Wiseman. So he actually carved out to be the backup to Miles Turner. And Miles Turner's balling out tonight, by the way, if you haven't seen it yet. And I do have him in many FanDuel lineups tonight, by the way, so I'm doing all right now. But anyway, so James Wiseman, after he scored like 5 quick points. I think he got like a couple boards and so forth. He still needs work defensively. He's still a work in progress defensively, but offensively, he's very gifted, right? And that's even the announcers were talking about that. But anyway, he had just taken a 3-point shot. And as he was backpedaling, he kind of like looked back. And then, he kind of looked down behind him like someone hit him, right? Like from behind. And then he starts touching his Achilles on the bottom. And then he starts kind of limping slowly. And he walked off his own power, but he was walking gingerly. And, he never required assistance to get off the court, right? And Twan, I got to tell you, this happened to me, all right? And this happened in 2003 when I was playing basketball. I was playing outdoors. And I was, back then I was probably maybe 40 pounds heavier than I am now. All right. And I'm like, 225 right now. So imagine I'm 265 playing basketball. Right.
You was extra big boy.
I was extra big boy. And I actually was lifting weights and I'd done legs the night before playing basketball. Right. And so rewind before I tell you what happened to me is a buddy of mine who I played basketball with. He had this happen to him. And I asked him, hey, what happened? How did you know? Right. And what he said is, what's interesting, I was about to go in for a drive and then I felt like someone kicked me from behind and I heard this pop and I thought someone like dropped something because it was in a gym. Right. Yeah. And then, when he heard that, he didn't think anything of it. And then he took the next step and that's when he just completely just fell down in agony and completely tore it right at that point. So when I asked him about that all flashed back when what happened to me. So the same thing happened where I was playing outdoors and then I was about to go in for a drive, about to do a Jordan 360 dip, bro, at 265, right?
Was the tongue out already, Eddie? Was the tongue out already? It was
halfway
out.
Yeah, right. But anyway, so the same thing happened is where I felt this, like someone hit me from behind, like kicked me. Yeah. And I looked behind me, I'm like, oh crap. As soon as I saw that, I went back and saw nobody. And then I heard the pop too. I heard the pop. Man. And then I'm like, in that whole story that I was talking to my friend Curtis, his name is Curtis, that this happened to, I went immediately, didn't take a next step because that's what he says. I took that next step. That's what severely tore my Achilles tendon and he had to get it surgically repaired. With me, when that happened, I just completely fell right down because I knew that something had happened. So I actually didn't get off on my own power. I needed help and assistance to get off, the court. And 265, 2 guys carrying me, man. That's poor guys, right? So anyway, I went to the hospital, and then fortunately I have a couple of friends who are doctors, and I told them what happened. And the first thing they told me is, okay, cross your legs across like you're crossing your legs, like when you're sitting down, but make sure like it's dangling, over your knee. Your calf is over, or your thigh is over your knee.
So the damaged leg would be on top.
The damaged leg would be on top, crossing over. So you'd be like, like this. And then he says, like, if this is your calf, you want to go ahead and pinch it. And if it moves like this, it's still connected. It's not completely severed, right? Okay. And sure enough, when I did that, it was moving a little bit. So it was not completely torn. So when the doctor saw me, and he's like, he did the test, and he saw the little dimple because there's like a little gap you can see on your tendon. There's like a little dimple there. And he's like, oh yeah, you got it torn here. I can't call in the troops to go ahead and do an operation, but we can go ahead and postpone it for tomorrow. And I told him, hey, I have a couple of friends of mine who are doctors. They said it's not completely torn. So if you can just do me a favor, put me in a tippy toe and just cast me up, and that's it. And dude, he had never done this before. He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. So he put me in tippy toes in the cast, and then I got the cast. And then 6-7 weeks later, when I got out of the cast, the guy wouldn't open up the cast. He looked at my tendon and touched it. He's like, huh, it worked. Like, Oh my God, it's something new, right?
Damn, bro.
I'm like, holy crap, did I get a rookie doctor here, man? Anyway.
That would freak me out, bro. Don't touch me, bro.
Yeah. But let me tell you, man, that whole recovery is brutal, bro. It is brutal. No wonder that people say when this happens to athletes, it's career threatening, and it's because of the recovery to start walking normally again, man. It took me a year to walk normally again. The rehab.
What did you feel like? Was it just sharp pain? Was it
no?
tightness?
It was a very gradual, dull pain, but it started getting worse. It started getting gradually worse. Like my body was in shock, and then like I knew something was wrong, but I didn't feel like in a severe pain. And then when I got to the hospital, it was starting to swell up and painful. And I started, asking for pain meds. And so, but when it happened, dude, there was no pain. I just knew something wrong had happened, right? So the same thing happened with James Wiseman. We're not going to go ahead and diagnose it right now, but like you said, it's usually a severe calf, tear or an Achilles tear. And that's one or the other. But the guy was walking a lot better than I was, and mine was only partially torn. So,
now that you say this story, that makes me wonder: should he be walking? Should he just stop?
Right.
And not do anything? And I mean, obviously he's got the top-notch care, and I'm sure the Pacers have all the technology that is going to take care of that. But just what's interesting though is just to cross sports here for a second. I don't know if you saw the footage when Deshaun Watson's Achilles snapped over the weekend.
No, I did not. So that happened too this weekend.
What was crazy was they zoomed in right as it was happening, dude. And he has the orange socks, and Ed, the back of his. I mean, you literally saw it like a. Brr. I mean, you literally saw it vibrate, and you're like, "Oh, that's
well."
The
same thing. I saw with Kevin Durant when it happened to him. For the finals when he was on the Warriors, you could see that his calf vibrated, like you just said. The same thing happened, right?
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, man. But getting back to it, man. Poor Wiseman. I mean, he's had injuries that have sidetracked his career, and the lucky thing for him is that he's young. He's only at the time when he got drafted, I think he was 19 or 20 years old, right?
Yeah, so
here we are 4 years later. Was it?
Yeah. He's got to be like 22, 23.
He's like 23 or 24-ish right now, right? He's still young, and bigs take time, usually in the NBA. But when you lose like 2 almost probably full seasons now because of his injuries, he's going to be really scratching and clawing to stay in the NBA, man. And
the thing was, I was kind of looking up. He signed a 2-year contract with Indiana. I believe it was like $4 million a year, with the second year being a team option. Right. My guess is, the team's going to want that room to pick someone else up. So he's probably, my guess would be his career with the Pacers is done.
It's possible. It's possible. We don't know, but I mean, it looks very likely it's an Achilles tear, and that's usually a career. That's a season-ending injury. Without a doubt. The only guy that I've seen come back within the same season is Terrell Owens. He's the only guy that I've seen come back from that within the same season. But that guy's a freak of nature.
Well, Adrian Peterson came back the following
season. He's another one too. Yeah. He came back pretty quickly too. But the only guy that did it within a season was freaking Terrell Owens, man.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Came back in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But anyway, so James Wiseman, hopefully he comes back, and like I think I told you, I might have mentioned this on a previous podcast, but I had a bet with my brother-in-law that Lonzo Ball versus LaMelo Ball versus James Wiseman, who had a better career. Right now, he's beating me, and it'd be like a real expensive, bottle of some kind of scotch, right? $500 minimum.
The sad part about it is that Indiana had been saying, we think we got the steal of the free agency with this guy. This guy's really stepping it up. He's really coming together. I think things were starting to head in the right direction for him a little bit, and then all of a sudden, fate kicked in and said, "Yeah, no, you're not going nowhere, buddy."
Yeah, I know that sucks, man. Sorry to hear that, man. But anyway, so you said that one. There was something else you wanted to.
Yeah. So the other thing I just wanted to touch on real quick that I found interesting is I think earlier today or maybe late yesterday, the NBA announced that it's potentially going to investigate the Philadelphia 76ers. So Embiid isn't playing tonight.
Right.
He made some comments where he doesn't think he'll ever play back-to-back again for his career. And the NBA has gone a long way into making it so that these players play and trying to do a schedule conducive so where they get enough rest. And I'm just going to I find this a little fascinating. I'm curious how the investigation is going to go, because you're talking here like big shades of gray, right? Like how can you tell someone if they're hurt or they're not? how do you do this? So this kind of can be like a little bit of a tone setter for the rest of the league on, whether your players play or not. And so
Right.
I just wanted to touch on that, get your thoughts on that. I'm just curious what they're gonna investigate, how they're gonna determine the authenticity of his quote unquote injuries. Like how do you do that?
Well, what makes it worse here, Twan, is that he played in Team USA over the summer.
Yes.
And he played a lot. Okay.
Yes.
He started.
Yes.
And that's what makes it kind of fishy a little bit as to, okay, so why didn't Philadelphia 76ers crack down on him not playing in Team USA if they were really serious about his playing career with Philadelphia? So, the investigation, I think, is going to take place because, the NBA instituted a load management policy last year where they start fining teams for sitting. I think the rule, if I remember correctly, I'm going by memory here, is that if a player who has been an all-star in the last 3 years is sitting when he's healthy, and that happens, I think no more than if he's healthy, then they get fined. I think it might be 2 players that can't be sitting now. One player is okay if he's injured, but if he's not injured, then they're fine. And I remember that it starts cascading up. Like I think it's like $100,000 or $10,000 for the first fine, and then $100,000, it gets to $250, and then it goes to like $1 million for like the fourth infraction, and then $1.5 million on top of that every infraction. So it gets pretty steep pretty quick. So I think that because Philadelphia is trying to protect their asset, by prolonging his career, making sure he's available in the playoffs. They're trying to implement this policy now that he's not going to play on back-to-back games. But what makes this really, really fishy, or I would say something that would be alarming for Sixers fans, is that this guy played in the entire Team USA, from June till August, right? Yeah. And then he's missing opening night, which is right. That's what makes it go, huh? And of course, Paul George, same thing. Paul George he had a knee injury.
But he has a legit injury, right?
He has a legit injury, right? So that's understandable. But Embiid is not, and this is the team that's trying to prolong his career, trying to make sure he's available at the freshest when he's in the playoffs, assuming that they make the playoffs by doing this, right? Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be, I think that Sixers will get fined. I don't know if it's going to be the load management fine that was what they implemented or instituted last year, but it's going to be some kind of a fine. That's why they're probably doing this investigation. Yeah. I think they're not going to let this slide.
Yeah, and to answer your question about, I think organizations are a little handcuffed when it comes to things like the Olympics, because the organization wants to have an image where they're going to let their players participate in things like that. They're not going to bog them down. They're going to, because, they want other free agents. Everything organizations do is to make themselves look attractive to more players and players want to be out there. So, and plus it's the Olympics, you're serving you're kind of, in a way, you're serving your country. You're representing your country, so I don't know how much an NBA franchise can even say anything if a player wants to go play in the Olympics. I think they pretty much just got to keep quiet. I don't, that would be interesting. I can see them saying no, and then like them getting a ton of bad press about it.
No, I mean, but look what happened to Kawhi Leonard. I don't know if that was really, the team kind of cracking down, saying, he needs to be healthy. For our team, we don't want him on Team USA, or maybe Team USA thought he wasn't a good fit, which would be very surprising.
Interestingly enough, though, he said he was hurt, right, and he's not playing in the opener tonight. So kind of that. Right. That at least was a consistent pattern, which is the opposite of what you're suggesting, which is, hey, Embiid played in practically every game, if not every game. And now all of a sudden, how convenient the season starts and you're hurt.
Right.
Right. Plus, I don't think he played in any preseason game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think
he did not play in any preseason game. He did not.
Yeah. So neither one of them did. That's a little shady there.
Yeah, I don't know. But who knows? Maybe he got injured during Team USA. We don't know. And supposedly he lost like 20 pounds, for the season. Yep. So we shall see.
As did Zion, right? Zion's significantly lighter, but he's missing tonight too.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, this is all, man. Opening night should be the night that everybody shows up to work, man. Honestly,
I agree with you. You and I can sit on our old man, yelling at the
principals
cloud, on the bench, sitting and yelling at the cloud. But back in the day, players played every game. There was no There was no load
There's
management.
no load management,
they
man.
played back to back. They played every game. I don't
They
know.
they played all 4 quarters and overtime, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
remember Monte Ellis? He led the
Yes.
league in like minutes played, like in 42 or 43 minutes per night. That's crazy. That's like missing only 5 minutes.
Exactly. So that's crazy, but we'll see. I'm kind of got my eye here on Milwaukee's beating the crud out of Philly right now. They're up.
Oh yeah, it's dude. I mean, who does Philly have? I mean, Philly doesn't have really anybody, man.
No,
really.
Paul George is out. Like I said, I've said it in previous shows. I love Maxey, but that this is a little much.
That's and then all they have is Oubre, Maxey, Andre Drummond, and and a bunch of Jared McCain, the guy in the draft. But anyway, had to do.
Anyway, so those were the couple things I wanted to bring up real quick, because they're kind of topics of the minute or of the hour, if you will. So now on to analysis here.
So last night, the first game that we that came about here is the Knicks versus the Celtics.
Yes.
All right, man. So what's interesting here, bro, is that I was watching the game, and it was pretty evident to me that the Celtics, they had a message to deliver, man. Normally when teams get the rings on opening night, it's usually an emotional thing for them, and there's usually a letdown in energy and so forth.
Yeah,
man, not this time, man. And they were talking a lot about it throughout the entire broadcast. Is that these guys, the two main junkyard dogs of the Celtics, being Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they have a score to settle, man, and it all has to do with Team USA, right? Jason Tatum hardly played. He had a lot of did not play coaches' decisions, many times throughout the whole season for Team USA. And for being considered, I mean, he's the highest paid guy in the NBA, man. For being widely considered as one of the top, and an NBA champion, to be widely considered one of the top 4 or 5 guys in the NBA today, and the guy doesn't even play, dude. Remember, we were talking about this in previous podcasts. Steve Kerr just motivated the crap out of this guy, and it showed last night.
Well, it definitely showed last night. I mean, last night, dude, they could not miss from 3-point line up until the last 10 minutes of the game. Then they couldn't make one. But
they missed like 13 3-pointers in a row.
Just to break the record, dude. They couldn't do it.
They couldn't break the record. That's the fantasy gods. You know what that was? That was Dikembe going, no, from up there, man. No. He's the fantasy guys going, no. You're not.
Exactly. So I'm gonna
reserve the integrity of the game.
I'm gonna reserve a little judgment, because when your threes are falling like that, dude. I mean, the Knicks didn't play horribly. Although I'll get into the Knicks here in a minute. The Knicks didn't play horribly, but dude, like, no one was beating the Celtics that night. No one. They were just freaking a buzzsaw. And the thing that I noticed, one of the things that I noticed was Drew Holiday guarding Karl Anthony Towns in the low post.
Oh, yeah.
And Karl Anthony Towns not able to move him or do anything with him. I was like, dude, that's a problem. Like, you got to be able to feed the big man, and the big man's got to punish you when you got a little guy on you in the low post. And I don't know, at this point, I don't know if I want to give the credit to Holiday or take credit away from Towns, but all I know is that Towns couldn't get around him.
No. And the Shaq definitely talked a lot about that during halftime, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the coverage. As you pointed out to many of the audience on the last show, this is TNT's last season. Make sure you watch it. I'm watching. I watch it all the time because it's entertainment. Those guys are awesome, man. And they got outbid by Amazon. That's the reason why they didn't carry it on for the season. Because
it's always money. Amazon it's always money.
Yeah, it always is. So, but anyway, he was talking about that. Hey man, let this mouse. There's a mouse in the house, and let this guy kind of pretty much dominate you. He is a really good defensive player. And then, when you're small, you have a lower center of gravity. And Drew Holiday is a pretty strong guy, right? He's not like a little scrub. So, but I think it's more of the style of Karl Anthony Towns' style. He's more of an outside shooting big. He's not really a low post threat. He can do it, but he's not really known for that. He's more of an outside shooting threat.
Yeah, he is. So, I mean, he's definitely a perimeter type player, but you got to be able to punish them when they put a little on you. I mean, you have to. You have to, man. Yeah. You have to, man. But, or else you lose an edge. You lose an advantage that within the court. You make the court smaller, because now you're like, put whoever on low post. He ain't gonna move him. but as hot as Tatum was yesterday, and he was hot. To me, I still think the core runs through White and Holiday. Those guys are they're the steady edge. To me, I just look at them and they're just a solid backcourt. I wouldn't say they're the most talented backcourt in the NBA, but
they're the best defensive backcourt there is in the NBA.
And they're probably one of the most consistent backcourts.
Yeah, and the thing is, Derek White was being told by the coach of the Celtics to go ahead and shoot more threes, and he definitely did that last night. He was shooting more threes.
Yes,
so
he did.
Drew Holiday and Derek White are definitely guys that are carrying the load as far as perimeter defending for the Celtics. Like you said, they're the foundation of that team from a defensive standpoint. But Jason Tatum, like I said earlier, he was motivated. He was motivated to make a point, and the point was made. Jaylen Brown also, because he was omitted from being on Team USA.
Correct.
So he definitely has something to prove. And they were talking about it on the broadcast. Anytime you have your top two guys that are that motivated after winning a championship, watch out. This team is not resting on their laurels. And they put the NBA on notice last night. So
I 100% agree for game one, but we'll see. It's a long season.
It's a long season.
This plays out, But Eddie, on the Olympic front, let me ask you, what would you have done? Like, would you have played Tatum and instead of who and how? Like the thing that goes, I agree. Tatum was odd man out. Given all his credentials and everything, I'm not disputing that, right? He probably deserved more time. But my thing is, they won the gold. They did what they had to do. Like, what could the coaches have done different? What should the coaches have done different?
Played him more, honestly, man. I mean, he's a dual threat. He's widely considered probably the top two-way player in the NBA. Honestly, I mean, Drew Holiday's right up there too, but not. Drew Holiday's more defensive oriented than offensive oriented. Jason Tatum is both, and he's Kawhi Leonard. I would say Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum. Those guys, and then Drew Holiday to maybe the second tier, but those other guys that I mentioned are widely considered to be the best two-way players in the NBA, meaning, two-way, meaning offense and defense pretty much almost equal on both sides. And he's widely considered that. And I don't know. Like I said earlier, man, this is going to tell you a lot about this kid, whether it motivates him or it deflates him. And right now, after game one, it looks like it motivated the crap out of him. And it will remain to be seen what happens from here on out.
I agree, but they played Holiday a lot. They played White a lot. It wasn't like they didn't want to play Celtics. It was just a Tatum thing, and I don't know. Maybe they felt they had better depth at that position. I don't know. I'm just at the end of the day, they won, and if he's motivated and more power to him, and he can carry this to another championship or two, then I'll give it up to him. But fundamentally, I don't think it was a personal thing. I just think they had depth at that spot, and
no, I don't think
they wanted to keep some sort of rhythm.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was personal either. I'm just saying that if I were him, I would be taking it personally because when I take it personal, I get motivated. And it pisses me off,
I agree.
Right? I get pissed off, right? So I think that's what I think is it unleashed him. I think we're going to see him being a whole nother level, in my opinion, this year. That's my prediction, right?
Okay.
So let me ask you this. We talked a lot about the Celtics. What about the Knicks? What did you see on the Knicks side?
So McBride, I liked him.
Yeah,
I liked him. I didn't expect to like him, but I liked him. That kid was hot. He was shooting it from the threes, and I liked him. I think he was definitely a bright side, something that I wasn't expecting in that game.
He won a lot of people money last night in FanDuel.
Yes,
I believe.
He was money. And I'm going to be quite honest. I don't have a lot on his background. I don't know, a whole lot about him, but like the kid was good. Like I really liked it. The other thing that I noticed was Bridges was like not good.
Hurting. He was struggling, man.
Yeah, like he looked out of sorts all kinds of ways.
You could see it, man, in his face. He was struggling. And then, it could be that a lot of pressure, there's a lot of pressures on him from himself because he knows that the Knicks gave up a lot to get him on the team. So he probably feels that he has to perform. And, with that added pressure, anytime you feel that added pressure to perform, you sometimes tighten up and you don't let things come easily to you. And you could see it. He was in his head last night on his shot. He had a really horrible preseason as far as shooting the three because I think he's like the best 3-point shooting from the corner guy in the NBA. I think he shot it like at 43% last year.
Yeah,
right.
That's
So,
what they were saying on the broadcast.
yeah,
Like he was the number
on the
one corner
broadcast,
guy
43%.
last season.
Yeah, last season, and then all of a sudden, what's changed, right? They said they worked on his shot, and he had this little hitch, doesn't have it anymore. But I think he's in his own head. He's
they were talking about that, and I don't know if I saw a hitch, but I saw a little like pause. When he gets up top, it was kind of like it wasn't a smooth release. It was like this up, wait, go kind of. It was a little kludgy, in my opinion. But again, maybe that's what they're working on. Maybe that's his rhythm, whatever. But yeah, I think he was just. I mean, he was definitely better in the second half than he was in the first half. But overall, I'd say for the first game, I'd be a little disappointed with kind of his overall run.
Yeah, and the other thing you got to take into consideration, he's playing for the biggest media market in the NBA, right? Yeah. And with that comes a lot of pressure. I'm sure that he hears a lot of talk shows talking about, okay, the Knicks, it's our year. We got Cat now, we got Mikal Bridges, we got OG Anunoby. We're gonna show out, we're gonna kick ass, and we gave up a lot for this Mikal Bridges guy, a lot of picks, right? And we got to see what this guy's all made of, right? He played for Brooklyn and he had a good year, but he played with a bunch of nobodies. Now he's got a bunch of somebodies on the team. How's he going to play, right? Yeah. I'm sure you heard a lot of the chirping out there about all this, right?
I'm sure he did, but in terms of like hierarchy of pressure, I think Brunson probably gets the most pressure, and he responds to it.
Yeah, and but he's already established there. He is beloved by that city. Because
I hear you, but I'm saying in terms of expectations, everyone knows
expectations are high.
He's the leader. He's the leader of the team. Everyone knows that. And I would say that Karl Anthony Towns probably has more pressure than Bridges. I think Bridges slips to third. I mean, Anunoby just got a big contract. You can kind of say Bridges and Anunoby are kind of along the same level of pressure. And I'm hoping that that's not it. I'm hoping that he's just getting some of the cobwebs out. Just getting acclimated to the new team and still figuring some stuff out. But if it's a pressure thing, the pressure could be worse because he could be the face of the franchise. And I would hope that
and have a horrible night. Yeah, but
yeah.
No, I hear you, man. But what's really surprising? I mean, just about the team in general. Okay, so last year the Knicks, they had the 5th best offensive rating. They were 7th in offense and defense. They were 10th, and they were net 5th. They were 5th net rating. And the additions of Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby definitely make them better defensively. That net rating, that defensive rating should definitely go up. Their offensive rating, should also increase for Karl Anthony Towns because of the way he plays. But the thing is that it's only the first game. They still have to. They're still adjusting to each other, right?
And again, they ran into a buzzsaw, Eddie. I mean, I'm thinking they play like that, they win over 50% of their games playing like
they were shooting over 50% over the whole night.
Exactly, but this just wasn't happening, man. It was just raining on them.
29 threes, man. That 29 threes, that's almost 90 points, man.
29 threes, Eddie, with 10 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter.
Isn't that crazy, dude?
Yeah, so that's basically 29 threes in 3 quarters, basically.
Yeah.
That's just
that's 10 threes per quarter.
Yeah, you're not beating that team. That's just not happening.
No, I know. And the thing is that, you get 50% more points on a 3 than on a 2, right? So, if you're going to shoot more threes, and over 2s, you're going to win by a big margin.
Exactly. Even if you match them percentage-wise, you're down, 10, 15 points.
Yeah.
Because of that extra point. But, and again, OG Anunoby, I thought he played well. Not great, but he looked, smoother than I had seen him in previous seasons. He looked comfortable. And and then Josh Hart, I think he played like he always played, solid player.
He's a solid player, man.
Solid player.
But they missed Dante DiVincenzo, man. They missed the other part of the Nova Knicks. There could have been 4 of them all together. Now they're always going to have 3 now. They had 3 last year. Now they have 3.
And we talked about that a little in previous shows, whether this is kind of the Drew Holiday from a smaller version, much smaller version. So but is that sort of the impact? That's
for sure. And that's a good dovetail to our next game, right?
Yes.
Before we get on to this next game, the Knicks go ahead. They play again on Friday. They play against the Indiana Pacers, who are playing right now. I think their game might be over. I don't even know what the score is, but they were playing Detroit and they were losing to Detroit on the road. So the Knicks play the Indiana on Friday, and then the Celtics play again tomorrow against the Wizards. And they played on the road against the Wizards. So we will see.
Which is a game they should win.
They should win, right? You just never know, right? But anyway, so dovetailing into the second game, which was the Wolves versus the Lakers. And I got to tell you, man, the Wolves, coming off like a really good season, they were the third best net rating team last year. They were the number 3 guy in the West. And they went, pretty far. They just got ousted, right? But it looked really promising for them. And then they made this big offseason move to get Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo as part of their team to help, Anthony Edwards and Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert to go ahead and try and get further than they were last year. And then they ran up against the Lakers team, and the whole hoopla about the Lakers last night was Bronny and LeBron playing together, right? And that was a cool little moment, bro. I got to give it to him. It wasn't a huge fanfare moment, but it was cool to see. Can you imagine playing with your daughter, dude? That's pretty freaking cool, bro. And LeBron,
and Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. were there.
They were there,
and it was cool. It was a cool vibe, though. I do have a comment about that, but it was the whole experience was cool. It's not something you're going to see every day.
No, I agree, and it was something that you definitely are, it hasn't been really seen really ever in the NBA.
Yep.
Only the first time ever that's really happened, and that's cool. I mean, that's cool that we got to see that. LeBron had a kid really early at 19 years old. Man, he had Bronny James at 19. Man. So he had to grow up real quick. No wonder the guy is, he always holds himself, pretty maturely. I would say since he was a kid. LeBron did.
Yep.
Yeah, because we had all this pressure of being the number 1 pick, being the next coming of the second Jordan, right? The next big thing, and he's proved it, right? He is. He's there. So his maturity, when we're parents and we're forced to be, responsible and raise somebody else, that forces you to grow up. And it's definitely he showed that. He's a pretty mature guy. Although, I'm in awe of his game. He's unbelievable. At 4 years old, you see what he's doing, man, and he's unbelievable.
I know.
Right? So, he's very
talented and he's, like you said, he's very mature. The one thing that I've always respected about LeBron is his ability to keep things in perspective in terms of his longevity, his career, his family, those types of things. He seems to, at least at face value, he seems to have that very well thought out.
Right.
So I will give him that.
Yep. I forgot to change
and
the
the
banner.
Lakers, the Lakers had a pretty crappy preseason. They kind of looked all kinds of ways, and then here they come out of the gates.
They played well. You got to give it to them. They played really well, man. I mean, and you know the big change, man. JJ Redick featured Anthony Davis, and dude, Anthony Davis had a monster game, and he had FanDuel points, 66 FanDuel points. That's huge. 66, man. He had 36 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, and 1 steal. Right? That's like packing up the stats.
Did you hear the Lakers yelling out MVP? The fourth quarter was busting me up.
Dude, if
Game
he
one, we're
plays
already
like
going that route.
If he stays healthy and plays like that the majority of the season, dude, and the Lakers actually, are not cellar dwellers. They're actually respectable. It's possible. But usually the MVP.
I'm going to lose some points if they play him that way because I think I had him seated somewhere around the 11 seed, 10 seed, something like that.
Yeah, you had him pretty low, man.
I'm going to lose points. But that's the whole thing with Anthony Davis, right? In his past, he's been inconsistent. He's had one good night. He's very inconsistent. He has a really good night and doesn't show up the next night. Yes, yep. So we'll see how that kind of portrays. But Hachimura, I thought, played really well.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Connect looked comfortable. Reeves was solid. And LeBron wasn't spectacular, but he was there. He's doing LeBron things just at a much lesser rate than he used to. But
he didn't need to. It was the Anthony Davis show. You can tell that's now the focus for this team, at least against this team last night against the Wolves. And the Wolves are the best defensive team, or was last year, the best defensive team last year, right? But you can see that there was a hit defensively, and we don't know if the losses of Karl Anthony Towns, although Karl Anthony Towns isn't considered a great defender, but he can do it. And then you have Kyle Anderson, who actually is a good defender, but he's a bench player. And then you got Monty Morris, Jordan McLaughlin. I don't know if those 4 losses really equate to I would say kind of a sluggish, disinterested look that they had last year, and I don't or last night, and I don't know if that was because they just got full of themselves, or they're just kind of still working out the kinks of this, who they have on their team now, right? They have Julius Randle, who's a very different player than Karl Anthony Towns because he's more down low focused. He's not outside focused. He's not spreading the floor focused, and that's what. And I think that's what the Wolves need. They need a floor spreader. And we were talking about Dante DiVincenzo. Now he's with the Wolves, and I think that should be more of his role as being a floor spreader. Because he can shoot, and he did come off the bench. They might have to put him in the starting lineup, honestly, because they need more shooting on that team, man. And that was the one thing.
What I will say, what I noticed, and I honestly for game one I didn't like, was what I'll call the Julius Randle effect, and that is he would bounce the ball. He would kind of own the offense for 5-10 seconds. And last year when I watched them play, the big difference between Towns and Julius Randle is that Towns makes quick decisions. He moves the ball around. Either he's going to shoot or he's going to give it up. And I saw Randle kind of just plodding along a little bit. And, he didn't play much in the preseason. As a matter of fact, I don't think he played at all. So I'm sure they're going to figure that out. But but I think part of what happened last night, and, the offense and the defense, they play off each other. So if you're moving quick on offense, you're kind of moving quick on defense, and I think some of that was him kind of just slowing the offense a little bit with his dribbling. He is a different player than Karl Anthony Towns. He's more of a traditional low post player. He's going to take his dribbles. He's going to do that kind of thing. But I'm curious to see how that ultimately fits with the offense in this coming season, because as of last night I thought it was a detriment. I didn't think it was beneficial. It
did look like it.
Doesn't mean I'm going to think that forever,
but the thing is that the only guy who really showed that he can shoot from outside was Anthony Edwards. And it was
DiVincenzo had some shots. He did, shots.
But he's coming off the bench. And that's my point, is that they probably might have to feature him more as an offensive threat with the starters, because they need to spread the floor for if now that they have this low post guy, they have Rudy Gobert, who's more of a defensive guy who can do a bunch of lobs, but as far as like a down low scorer, he's not that. That's where Julius Randle comes into play, and in order for him to be effective, you need somebody to be able to shoot the ball from outside, and that's what made the Showtime Lakers very effective, is because they could shoot the three along with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar being able to do the low post thing, right? So that's what I think that they need. That's the adjustment I think the Wolves need to do. But the thing is that last year the Wolves also lost their first game last year, their season opener. So not a big deal. You can't read everything.
No, not of course not a big deal. But the one thing I was kind of thinking a little differently than you. The one thing I'm wondering is if Julius Randle should come off the bench and they should start Naz Reid.
They're going to take your. They might, because Naz Reid can shoot.
Yeah.
But I don't.
He's a little more fluid. And again, it's too early. Just play the rotation. Yeah. Play it for a minute. But if you want more shooting, you could also go the Naz Reid route.
Yeah, and there could also have been Julius Randle coming back against the team that drafted him.
Cool.
There's also that added kind of motivation that sometimes can get in the way in being pressing a little bit too much, and you could probably see that he did a little bit of that last night too, right? So that might be part of the reason why he struggled a little bit. But the team in general just looked a little disinterested, kind of going through the flow, we're better than these guys. We are the Wolves, and. That's what I saw, man. So
I agree with you. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do the next couple of games. But it's game one, not a big deal. But I'll tell you, the Lakers played a lot better than I thought they would, and the Wolves played a lot worse than I thought.
For sure.
And in the earlier game, I thought the Knicks played about what they would normally play. I just thought that the Boston Celtics were out of their mind.
They were out of their mind. They were nuts, man. Yeah. Nuts. But so now the next game for the Lakers, they play home against Phoenix on Friday, and then the Wolves played against the Kings on the road tomorrow. One interesting note before we go to the rookie draft here is the two draft picks of the Wolves didn't play. They haven't cracked the rotation. Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon did not come off the bench. All right. Yes. So that's a good little segue into our little draft.
Into our rookie draft. All right,
right, our little draft here.
Let's take this off the stage and.
All right, so just to lay it out for the audience here again,
let's make it a little bigger. Hopefully, everyone out there can see.
So what we have here is the draft order for the first and second round. I mean, we can show the second round later, but what Twan and I are going to do here is we're going to go ahead and pick 4 players each, and I have the first pick. Okay, I have the first pick, and we're going to keep track of these stats all year, and whoever has the most points at the end of the season wins this contest for yet another nice lunch or dinner.
There we go.
Bro? All right, so
in case audience you can't tell, Eddie and I like to eat. And
we're big boys, man. We gotta keep this, this body's nourished, man, right?
Exactly. So, we're not gonna be able to eat like this forever. So before
exactly.
Before things change, I'm gonna eat.
I know. Hey, real quick before I get into the segue, just because we're a little older and we should probably watch how we eat, but just a little aside. We lost a real infamous Latino last night, man. Fernando Valenzuela.
Oh, different
sport, right? He passed away at the young age of 63, man.
That is
right?
young. Yeah.
So, but he wasn't the most healthy guy in the world. He definitely looks like he loves his tortillas and frijoles and all that, right? So that's what I'm saying. We love our meals, but we gotta watch how we eat.
Yeah,
bro,
we do gotta watch what we eat. But yeah, Fernando, for those of you that may remember, I mean, as you all know, Eddie and I are Warriors fans, which basically makes us Giants fans and Niner fans. I mean, we're both in that boat, and we hated the Dodgers. But the one guy, back in the day that I'd look at him and I go, man, I'm a little jealous. That dude, like, he was getting all the hype. He was, he had the way he'd look at his cap before he threw the ball.
He'd look up.
Yeah, he was just he's charismatic. In a lot of ways, he kind of like his body build and his kind of remind me of Maradona. Like the Argentinian soccer player. It was kind of like that kind of charisma. And I'm like, I like this guy. He's all right. But we did lose. We did lose Fernando Mania, and he. Rookie of the Year, I believe, was 83. Cy Young Award winner that same year. I mean, he had a hell of a year. And,
he did. And he had that screwball. And the screwball, dude, I was a pitcher myself, dude. And the screwball, I've tried it, and it hurts your arm, man. It's not easy. It's because you have to spin the ball this way. You're not spinning it like this, like a curveball. You're spinning it this way. And it's really hard.
It breaks away from the opposite side of what you would normally expect for that pitcher to throw.
Yeah. Correct. And that was his pitch. He always it always broke outside to the right-hand hitters and broke inside to the left-hand hitters. So, but yeah, Fernando Valenzuela, man, rest in peace, man. We lost another fellow Latino, and the only reason why I brought him up is because we're talking about eating. We know that guy loved to eat.
We know he could eat.
Yeah. So
little warning shot to both of us, huh?
Right, exactly. Yeah. All right, bro. So let's get into it. We got this 5 players. So I already laid it out. We're gonna pick 4 players from the first round and 1 player from the second round.
Well, so we have to pick a minimum of 1 player in the second round. If you want to pick all 5 players in the second round, I'm not going to stop you. I'm just
no. Okay, minimum. Okay, that's cool.
It's a minimum of 1, right? We have to pick at least 1. But if you want more than 1 in the second round, you can.
All right, man. So I got first pick.
Yes, you do.
And we talked about this. You already kind of gave a little sneak peek. We want to base this on playing time, right? And
we want to play this on the situations.
Correct.
Let's touch on like Rob Dillingham, for example. We all know he's a talented player. He didn't play last night. Is he going to play? Is he going to get an opportunity? Right. So this is more a cross section between talent and opportunity. Right. So that's really what we're going to have to look at. And that's really what we're pulling. We're in no way, shape, or form saying the people we pick we think are the most talented. They may be, but that's not what we're saying. We're saying they're going to get the most opportunity.
Right. Yeah. All right, man. So I'm going to make my first pick. Since I got the first pick. All right. Yes. So we can record this later because it's being recorded. We can go.
I'm gonna type it down as we go.
Okay, if you want to do that, that's fine. But we can go ahead and do it later too. Either way. All right. So my first pick is Zach Edey, bro.
You took mine.
I'm taking him, man, because he's gonna start, man.
Yes, he is. Yes.
All right. So that next is you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with the guy that I drafted first in the summer league. I'm gonna go with Reed Shepherd.
All right. I'm going Stephon Castle.
Nice pick. Where is he?
He's number 4.
Right there. I'm right on him.
Yep.
All right. And I'm going to go with Matez Bucelis.
Okay. I am going to go Alex Sarr.
Alex Sarr. Okay. All right, let me see here. I'm gonna go a little bit out of the norm, and I'm going to go with Dalton Connect.
Oh, that's a good pick. All right. My next pick is going to be Cody Williams.
Cody Williams. All right.
So I got my 4 in the first round.
All right, you got your 4, and I'm gonna go with. You know what? I'm gonna go with Risa Shea.
Okay. I was in between Risa Shea and Cody Williams, by the way. So.
All right, and now we go to the 1 second round that we have to pick.
Yep.
And
that's
ready,
me
Eddie?
now, right?
Yep.
That's me.
Yep.
Okay. So I am gonna go ahead and pick. Shoot. I'm gonna pick Jamal Shed.
Jamal Shed. Where is Jamal? I'm not seeing him.
He is number 18.
18.
Or 16.
16. All right.
Yep.
All right. All right. I was thinking you were gonna take so the guy I'm on is the guy I want to take. I want to take Cam Christie, but he's so
yeah,
young.
I know that. I know you wanted him, man.
Yeah.
It's like you come in Klay Thompson, you're claiming.
Yeah,
man.
I want him, but you know what? I'm gonna go with my better judgment. I'm gonna go with Filipowski.
Oh, all right. So
all right.
I was actually in between Jamal Shed and wait, where do I see him? Is he still there? Let me see. Oh, I was gonna go either Jamal Shed or Mogbo.
Yeah, I was thinking about Mogbo too. I was kind of going between Mogbo, Filipowski, and Cam Christie. Cam Christie's too much of a long shot, but I think within the next 3 years, he's going to rise up. Like, I think he's going to be much better. I just don't think it's going to be this year. And you know what's interesting is neither of us took, and I had him on my radar was the guy for Cleveland.
Oh yeah, Jalen Tyson.
Neither of us took him.
Yeah, I don't think he played tonight, man, by the way. And Tristan Da Silva is another one that I think might be playing too. But, the thing is that we're kind of at a disadvantage doing this right now because there are games going on right now, and we can take a look at who's actually played, and I can tell you that I know that Jamal Shed has played. That's why I picked him.
That's fine. I mean, I was trying to do this as early as possible in the season.
So it's more prediction based, right?
Yes, yeah, but this will be exciting. So we'll, over the next week, we'll put together a little stat sheet and then just kind of start seeing where they're at, and seeing what they do.
I guess I'll keep track of the stats. I'll go ahead and do it every week, and then I'll update this thing I'll give you the stats. You can update the numbers every week, and we can see how we're doing.
Okay.
All right, man.
And then I already filled out my NBA awards one, but I don't want to share it before you see it.
Okay, so we're going to the next segment now.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this, and then that way you can't see, and then you can pick yours. I'll tell you mine, and so on and so forth.
All right, man. So this is the predictions, the award winners for the NBA season. We're doing this during the first week of the NBA because we want to see how much of a soothsayer we are and be able to predict. What's going to happen. And I think the way we do this, bro, is whoever's going to be whoever's going to pick the better, overall, whoever wins between us is based on the number of votes they get. I think that's the only fairest way to do this, right? Yeah. So last year's award winners. So we had MVP was Nikola Jokic, it's his third time. The most improved player last year was Tyrese Maxey. That's one of your boys. Defensive player of the year was Rudy Gobert. Gobert for the fourth time. It ties the record. There's 2 other players that have done it. Do you know who they are?
Dikembe's one of them, right?
For sure. No.
No, Dikembe's one, and then I don't know who the other one is, but if I had to guess, I'm going to go with either Ben Wallace or Akeem Olajuwon.
That's really good, dude. It's Ben Wallace.
Yeah.
Ben Wallace.
Yeah.
Ben Wallace is they're the only 4-time defensive player of the award winners 4 times. There's only 3 guys in the NBA history that have done that, and those are the 3.
And you know what? And I'm going to say something, Eddie. Obviously, we get the Draymond spillover, but Gobert gets a lot of hate for being, for winning that award 4 times. There's a lot of people that mess with him.
I think it's just because of the way he carries himself a little bit.
Yeah.
He's kind of cocky. He's kind of arrogant.
He is. But I'm saying, winning it 4 times, you need to give him his specs. Give me my specs. Just a little bit. But
all right, man. So we had an MVP, Nikola Jokic, Tyrese Maxey for most improved, and defensive player of the year was Rudy Gobert. Then rookie of the year last year was Victor Wembanyama. All right, and he kind of ran away with it. Initially, it was kind of Chet Holmgren in the very beginning of the season. He was kind of looking like the guy, and then this guy just took it, man. I mean, he just showed up and showed out big time, right?
Yep.
And then the sixth man of the year last year was Naz Reid, and then coach of the year was Mark Daigneault. All right, so the way I think we should do it, bro, is I reveal who I think the MVP is going to be, then you reveal who yours is. Who you think?
Do you want to work our way up to MVP? We'll start with some of the lower awards.
Okay, let's do that. All right, let's do that.
So let's start with your rookie of the year. Well, I'll start with mine.
Okay.
Let's go this way. Since you went first on the draft, I'll go first on this one.
All right.
All right. My rookie of the year is Zach Edey.
So do I. I have the same pick.
All right, Zach Edey.
All right. So we're the same there, bro. Okay. All right. Then why
don't you go first on the next one, which will be sixth man of the year?
So this one's going to surprise you, bro. All right.
Okay.
Because last year it was the guy from the Sacramento Kings.
Timberwolves.
The Sacramento Kings. The sixth man, Malik Monk. He was one of the guys that was considered last year. I was considering him to do it this year too, because he's kind of the guy he's like just a microwave coming off that bench, right?
Yep.
I was thinking about picking him, but I'm going to pick something that's completely non-standard. And the reason why I'm picking this guy is because he hardly played last year, but he plays for a really offensive-minded squad, okay? And I'm giving you a sneak peek who it is because they were the second highest offensive-rated team in the history, next to the most offensive-rated team in the Celtics, and that was the Indiana Pacers. So you know who I'm picking. It's Benedict Mathurin. I'm picking Benedict Mathurin at the sixth man of the year. That's
wow. Okay.
That's like a pull, right? I mean, I'm pulling that one. Woo!
That's a little bit of a pull.
It is. Right. I did it.
Okay, so for me, hold on, let me fix my spreadsheet here. So for me, I've already talked about him quite a bit, and I think, like I said, I think he was the mini soul of the New York Knicks. Last year, the Minnesota Timberwolves won sixth man of the year, and I think the Minnesota Timberwolves again will get sixth man of the year. But
you say Dante.
I'm going to go with Dante DiVincenzo as the sixth man of the year.
And we're both making like pulls on this thing, right?
Correct. Yep.
Right.
Yep. All right. So you went first on that one. So I'll go next on coach. So you mentioned him as, I believe he won coach of the year last year. I think he's going to win it again, which is Mark Daigneault. I think he's going to get it again this year. So that's who I picked for coach of the year.
So, dude, I was thinking about doing that again, but it's rare that you see coach of the years in back-to-back seasons. So I don't think they're going to give it to him. Although, if they win the championship, they might have to. But, I don't, it's going to be the Celtics and I think the Oklahoma City Thunder in the end. But, we got to play a season. Some major injuries can happen. We shall see. But the guy that I picked, man, and I'm surprised this guy has not won a coach of the year yet. Okay. But this could be the year that he wins it.
Yep.
I'm going Homer, bro. Steve Kerr. I'm going Steve Kerr because I think this team I think this team is way better than people think. All right.
I'm trying to hold down my fandom here. I think you're right, but I'm gonna play it cool and not say anything. But I think you're right. I think they're gonna be much better than people gave them credit for. And the more I just get a little homer here for a minute. The more I look at the job that Mike Dunleavy did during this offseason, the more I'm like, dude, he did about as good as you can do without acquiring a main big player. And I look at Buddy Hield and I think he's gonna freaking explode in this offense.
So, yeah.
So I think that's gonna. All right. So I went first on coach, so you can go first on DPOY.
All right. So defensive player of the year. This was easy, dude. Victor Wembanyama.
Yes, that's who I had.
That's a no-brainer. No-brainer.
From one Frenchman to another.
Yep, that's what I think. I think he's going to be the guy. I mean, he's. Yep,
I agree. Is
that your pick too?
That is my pick. Yes.
Okay.
That is one, and that was. I'll be honest with you, Eddie. Out of all the picks that I picked, he was the most confident one that I felt.
I was pretty confident with Zach Edey too, though. honestly.
I'm confident with Zach Edey, but I still think there's some variables here. Another rookie could come out of nowhere that we didn't
Or
expect.
He could get hurt. Or he could get hurt.
Or they have a crappy season and, like whatever. Or, John Morant does something. I mean, whatever. There's a million things that can happen. And so, anyway, but Victor Wembanyama is the one that I thought. All right, now, most improved player. Okay, it's my turn? Do I go first now?
Your turn.
All right. So my most improved player that I'm going with this year is from the Oklahoma City Thunder, which I think will help the coach get. Which I think will help the coach get Player of the Year, and that's Jalen Williams. I think Jalen Williams is going to explode, and I think he's going to be the most improved Player of the Year.
All right, man. I went homer on you again, bro.
Oh boy.
Because this guy is playing for a contract. He did not get signed right now during this week, so they're doing it next year. So I think
you're really going for it.
This guy's super motivated, man. He's going to be super motivated to show out. And I'm going with, bro.
Yep, I know.
I'm going with Jonathan Kuminga.
I'm going with
Jonathan Kuminga as the most improved player in the NBA. I think this guy is going to have an awesome year. I even told you this even before the season even started. I told you that I think this guy is going to show out, right? Yep. I think he's going to show up, and I think he's going to have a huge game tonight, man, against the Blazers. And the game is about to start in 10 minutes, man. So
yes, we got 10 minutes.
We're almost done too. We're just about almost done with this, man.
We're making good progress. All right, MVP. So I went first on most improved. You get to go first on MVP. The big boy award.
So I have been foreshadowing this the entire show. Okay, not necessarily the entire show, but in the very beginning of the show. All right.
Yes.
We all know that this guy is highly motivated because he did not play on Team USA as much as I think everybody deserved. I think Jason Tatum is going to be the MVP this year.
Wow, you're going big time. All right. For me, I'm sticking with the Europeans, although it won't be Joker this time. I think the point guard over there in Dallas is going to win it this year. I think Luka Doncic. Yeah, I think Luka Doncic is going to.
Bro. It's not a bad call. Not a bad call.
I think he's the one that's going to get it this year. I don't think they'll get as far this season as they did last season, but I think that he will have a solid year, and I think he's going to get it. I think Luka's going to pull it out.
Right on, man.
So there we go.
Well, there you have it, man. So we've gone through. We had our show here. We covered the first two games last night. The Knicks versus the Celtics, and then the Wolves versus the Lakers. Then we had our little draft for the rookies. That we picked 4 each from the first round, and then we picked 1 from the second round. We're going to keep track of these stats. We'll share the progress of these on every show to see how we're doing along the way. So you'll see the progress. And then we picked the end of the season awards, for each, each of us have done that. And we're going to go ahead and have a contest on that. Me and Twan are all about contests, man.
We are.
And it's going to be based on votes, right? So that's our show, man. And just so you know, we're live, and we're live here for a reason, because we wanted to get your comments and input. We didn't get any today, but hopefully you guys come back next Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday live here on grumblingsmedia.com. So this is Buzzer Beaters. You can find us on grumblingsmedia.com. You can find us on any podcast outlet that you can think of. You can find us on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, X, Pandora, all of the above, right? So just look for grumblingsmedia.com. That's the call out name, and Buzzer Beaters is the name of the show. I'm Eddie Aparicio, and this is Anthony Twan Corral, and we are signing off.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these 2 boxes.